Jack Corbett from ISR Training. Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
No problem.
Jack, can I start by asking a little bit about your sales philosophy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sales is pretty much all I've ever known. So when I unfortunately was asked to leave school at 14 years of age, I started my own business and also started working in a call centre doing telecommunications, selling double glazing windows. So from pretty much as young as I can remember, sales is all I've ever understood and pretty much all I've ever really been very good at. And my philosophy nowadays is underpinned by the trademark program here at ISR called SWISH. SWISH is an acronym for Selling with Integrity and Selling Honesty. And I believe that the true mechanism in 2019 to succeeding in sales is to be transparent and to give your customer an opportunity to understand all of both the upside and potential risks involved with the product or service that you offer.
You mentioned then about selling with integrity. Jack, can you touch on why the SWISH program is different to other sales training programs out there in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely I can. I mean, look, in the modern day, there's a lot of regurgitation of 1980, 1990s sales information, which is often around how to bait and switch, how to deceive, how to manipulate, how to bully, how to create falsified scarcity or urgency. And I guess the major difference with the SWISH program is that it's truly consultative and customer centric. It's a program that allows you, through the use of effective questions coupled with expert tonal patterns, to truly unpack and extract the need of your client. Understand what makes them tick, understand their fears, their desires, understand their experiences, their budgets, and make sure that any offer you make to them is not only customized in its entirety, but truly aligned with their desired outcomes.
The last couple of years has been quite a ride for yourself and Ryan and also the team at ISR, particularly getting on board with the Sharks. For anyone who doesn't know, the Shark Tank is a massive show here in Australia and also internationally with Dragon's Den as well. Can you talk a little bit about that experience, Jack?
Yeah, absolutely, I can do. I mean, that's how I would describe it. The word I would use is an experience. Naturally, what goes on a TV show for the 14 minutes is only one tiny snippet of the tens of hours that goes into the application, the actual presentation, and then the due diligence process that follows thereafter. But it's quite a funny story of why we even went on Shark Tank, and not meaning to disrespect the process in its entirety in any way, shape or form, but we really didn't need their money. We were very successful, we were very profitable as a business, and we were scaling independently. And the funds they offered, were only a very, very small percentage of the working capital that we had at our disposal at that time anyway. The reason we went on Shark Tank is because I was a passionate viewer of the show, and after sitting and maybe no less than a dozen times explaining to my wife that had this business owner or entrepreneur have employed me to write their presentation for them and assist them in knowing how to value their business, I believe there would be a significant greater percentage of them that would get a deal. I think the reason that people don't get deals is not because they don't have great products or services, is that they don't know how to sell and or present them. So she said, well, if you're so good, why don't you go on it? And being the competitive man that I am, I love a challenge. So I applied. We got accepted. Flew down to Sydney, went to the Fox Studios at the back of Sydney Cricket Ground. In total, I was in the tank for about 2.5 hours, although they compressed that down obviously into a 10 to 12 minute episode in combination with some interludes and an advert. And during that time, I was in intensive negotiation. We really were in a deep negotiation with 5 of Australia's brightest minds, and was fortunate enough for 4 of those 5 people to make an offer to us, what we call a full valuation offer. So they didn't try and negotiate with me on price. They said to me they felt my business was worth exactly what I suggested it was worth, and they were willing to take off of me the equity stake. But my competitive edge got the better of me. I know that never in history of the American or the Australian version of Shark Tank has anybody managed to get 3 separate investors to collaborate on a deal. So I became hell-bent on becoming the first person to do that, and sure enough, by releasing a 30% equity stake in our business, Steve Baxter, Andrew Banks and Glenn Richards are all now members of our board, and people that hold an equity position and a vested interest in ISR training.